She learned to sleep on the far edge of the bed. Not because he told her to. He didn't speak to her enough for that. But because the first night, when she'd rolled toward the center in her sleep, she'd woken to find him already gone. The sheets on his side were cold, untouched, like she was. Her name was Nellie, and for 6 months, she'd been Mrs. Kang Min-jun. On paper. Hello, beautiful soul. If you're here because the title grabbed you by the throat, because you know what it's like to love someone who looks right through you, I see you.
Pour yourself something warm.
Settle in. And if stories about love that has to be fought for, bled for, survived for speak to your heart, subscribe. You're home here. The penthouse smelled like leather and expensive silence. Nellie sat at the marble dining table, alone, a plate of untouched food growing cold in front of her. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline. Millions of lights, millions of lives. None of them as lonely as hers. She heard the door open. Min-jun stepped inside, flanked by 2 of his men. He didn't look at her. He never did unless he had to. He was beautiful in the way sharp things are, all clean lines and controlled power. Dark eyes. Perfectly tailored suit. A face that revealed nothing. You're home early, she said softly. He shrugged off his jacket. One of his men took it. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. Not how are you? Not did you eat? Just logistics. She nodded. I made dinner. If you. I'll eat out. The words were delivered without malice. That was almost worse. Malice would have meant he felt something. Of course. She folded her hands in her lap. He moved past her toward his office. Stopped. Turned halfway. There's an event tomorrow night. Wear something red. We need to look. He waved a hand vaguely. Unified. Unified, she repeated. Yes. She wanted to laugh. Or scream. She wasn't sure which. Understood. He left. The door clicked shut. Nellie exhaled slowly. Her chest ached in that dull, familiar way. Like a bruise that never quite healed because it kept getting pressed. She hadn't chosen this. Well, she had. Technically. 6 months ago, her brother had gotten in deep with the wrong people. Debts. Threats. The kind that end with bodies in rivers. Min-jun's syndicate owned half of Seoul's underworld. Her brother owed a piece of it. The deal was simple. Marry Min-jun. Become his shield, a respectable non-criminal spouse to legitimize his public image. In exchange, her brother's debts vanish. Her family stays safe. She'd signed the papers in a conference room that smelled like cigars and fear. He'd barely looked at her then, too. This is business, he'd said. Don't expect anything else. She hadn't. But somewhere between the cold sheets and the silent dinners, she'd made a fatal mistake. She'd started hoping. That night, she stood in the bathroom, staring at her reflection. Dark skin. Natural curls pulled into a low bun. Eyes that still looked too soft for this world. She touched the gold band on her finger. Mrs. Kang Min-jun. A title. A transaction. Not a marriage. Her phone buzzed. A message from her brother. Thank you. Again. I know this isn't easy. She didn't reply. What would she even say? It's fine. I only die a little every day. She turned off the light and went to bed. Alone. The next evening, she wore red. A sleek gown that hugged her curves, elegant but not too bold. She'd learned the balance. Visible enough to play the part, invisible enough not to embarrass him. Min-jun waited by the car, checking his watch. When she approached, he glanced up. For half a second, something flickered in his eyes. Then it was gone. Let's go. The charity gala was full of power players and pretty lies. Nellie smiled, shook hands, played the role of the devoted wife. Min-jun's hand rested on the small of her back, firm, possessive. Only for show. A woman in diamonds leaned in, eyes sparkling with champagne and curiosity. You two are stunning together. How did you meet? Nellie's smile didn't falter. It was unexpected. Min-jun ist reizend. Excuse us, he said smoothly, guiding Nellie away. Once they were out of earshot, his hand dropped. Don't overshare. I didn't. Good. He walked ahead. She followed. Always 2 steps behind. They returned home just after midnight. Min-jun loosened his tie, heading for his office. Min-jun. He paused. She didn't know why she said his name. Didn't know what she wanted. Maybe just for him to see her. He turned. What? Her throat tightened. Nothing. Good night. He studied her for a moment, then nodded. Good night. The door closed. Nellie stood in the center of the empty penthouse, the city lights casting long shadows across the floor. She touched her ring again, and wondered how long a person could live like this. 3 weeks passed in the same suffocating rhythm. Minjun came home late, left early, spoke only when necessary. Nellie existed in the margins of his life, a well-dressed ghost haunting a penthouse that never felt like home. She tried to fill the silence, learned Korean cooking from online videos, left plates covered on the counter. He never touched them. She picked up conversational Korean, practiced phrases in the mirror. He answered her in English. Clipped. Efficient. She bought books on Korean culture, organized his dry cleaning, made sure his favorite whiskey was always stocked. He didn't notice. Or worse, he did and didn't care. One evening, she found him in his office, staring at surveillance photos spread across his desk. She knocked softly on the open door. I made tea. He didn't look up. Leave it. She set the cup on the edge of his desk. Her eyes caught the images, men in dark clothing, abandoned warehouses, red circles drawn around faces. Is everything okay? His gaze snapped to hers. Cold. This doesn't concern you. I'm your wife. You're my cover. His voice was flat. There's a difference. The words hit like a slap. She stepped back. Of course. I'll leave you to it. She turned to go. Nellie. She stopped. Hope flickered, stupid, desperate hope. Close the door on your way out. She did. That night she couldn't sleep. She stood on the balcony, the sole night air cool against her skin. Below, the city pulsed with life. Cars, lights, people living real lives. She wondered what that felt like. Behind her, the balcony door slid open. Minjun stepped out, whiskey in hand. He seemed surprised to see her. They stood in silence. Finally he spoke. You should be asleep. So should you. He took a sip, stared at the skyline. I have work. You always have work. His jaw tightened. That's what keeps you safe. Safe, she repeated softly. Is that what I am? He didn't answer. She turned to face him. Can I ask you something? No. Why do you hate me? He finally looked at her. Really looked. I don't hate you. Then what do you feel? Nothing. The word was immediate. Practiced. I don't feel anything. She searched his face for a crack. A lie. Found none. Then why did you agree to this? Her voice trembled. If you were going to treat me like I'm invisible, why marry me at all? You could have found someone else. Someone you actually. Because you were convenient. The word landed like a blade. She laughed. It came out broken. Convenient. Your brother owed a debt. I needed a wife who understood her place. Who wouldn't ask questions. Wouldn't demand things I can't give. He drained his glass. You needed your family safe. I needed legitimacy. It's a fair trade. A fair trade, she whispered. Yes. She blinked back, the heat building behind her eyes. And what if I told you I can't do this anymore? For the first time, something shifted in his expression. You have a contract. I have a life. Her voice rose. Or I did. Before I became your beautiful accessory. Your convenient solution. You knew the terms. I knew the terms. She stepped closer. What I didn't know was how much it would cost. His eyes darkened. You're being dramatic. I'm being human. Her voice cracked. Something you've clearly forgotten how to be. Silence. Then he moved past her, back toward the door. Get some sleep, Nellie. We have another event this weekend. He left her standing alone under the stars. She pressed her palms against the railing, gripped it until her knuckles ached, and let herself cry. Just once. Just tonight. The weekend event was worse. A private dinner with Minjun's associates, older men with sharp eyes and expensive watches. Their wives sat adorned in silk and diamonds, speaking in rapid Korean that Nellie only half understood. She smiled, nodded, played her part. One of the wives leaned toward her, voice sticky sweet. You must be so lucky. Minjun is so powerful. Yes, Nellie said carefully. Very lucky. And your Korean is getting better. The woman's smile didn't reach her eyes. Though I suppose it must be hard. Being so different. The table quieted. Nellie's stomach dropped. Minjun's hand found hers under the table. Squeezed. A warning. Behave. She swallowed her anger. It's been an adjustment, she said evenly. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn. The woman's smile widened. Of course. We all admire your resilience. Another wife laughed softly. Nellie's throat burned. Minjunes klipptightened. She didn't pull away. She couldn't. In the car ride home, the silence was suffocating. Finally, Minjun spoke. You handled that well. She stared out the window. Did I have a choice? No. Then don't congratulate me. He said nothing. Back at the penthouse, she headed straight for the bedroom. He caught her wrist. She froze. What? Her voice was raw. He stared at her. Something unreadable in his eyes. They don't matter. Easy for you to say. I mean it. His grip softened. Their opinions are irrelevant. But not irrelevant enough for you to defend me. His hand dropped. I can't show weakness. And acknowledging your wife is weakness? In my world. He stepped back. Yes. She looked at him, really looked. And for the first time she saw it. The exhaustion. The armor. The cracks he hid beneath tailored suits and cold words. What happened to you? She whispered. His expression shuddered. Good night, Nellie. He disappeared into his office. She stood in the hallway. Alone. Again. But that night something changed. Around 3 a.m., she woke to the sound of ice clinking in a glass. She padded into the living room. Minjun sat on the couch in the dark, still dressed, staring at nothing. Can't sleep, she asked softly. He didn't look surprised to see her. Go back to bed. Instead, she sat on the opposite end of the couch. They sat in silence. Minutes passed. Then, my father arranged my first marriage when I was 22. Nellie's breath caught. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Afraid he'd stop. She was kind. Gentle. Everything I wasn't. His voice was distant. I thought maybe I could learn. Be different. He took a slow sip. 3 months after the wedding, my enemies found her. Nellie's heart cracked. They sent her back to me in pieces. She covered her mouth. That's when I learned. He finally looked at her. Eyes hollow. Love is a liability. Caring is a weapon they use against you. Mignon. So no, Nellie. I don't hate you. His voice was quiet. Devastated. I'm protecting you. The only way I know how. He stood. Walked to his room. Left her sitting in the dark. And for the first time, Nellie understood. He wasn't cruel. He was terrified. The next 2 weeks, something shifted. Not much. Not enough. But something. Minjun still kept his distance. Still worked late. Still slept in his office more nights than not. But sometimes, just sometimes, he'd pause in doorways. Ask if she'd eaten. Pour her tea without being asked. Small things. Crumbs. Nellie told herself not to read into it. She failed. It was a Thursday night when everything shattered. Nellie was reading in the living room when Minjun's right-hand man, Jay, arrived unannounced. His face was grim. We have a problem. Minjun's expression went ice cold. Where? The warehouse. South side. They know about the shipment. Who? Park's crew. Minjunes Joklinshil. He grabbed his jacket. Nellie stood. What's happening? Stay here. Minjun didn't look at her. Minjun. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but Jay or me. Fear spiked through her chest. You're scaring me. He stopped. Turned. For a brief moment his mask slipped. I'll be back. Then he was gone. An hour passed. Then 2. Nellie paced. Checked her phone obsessively. Nothing. She tried calling. Straight to voicemail. At 11 p.m. her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her hands shook as she answered. Hello. Heavy breathing. Then, you his wife? Her blood went cold. Who is this? Doesn't matter. The voice was rough. Amused. What matters is your husband walked into a trap tonight. And right now, he's bleeding out in a warehouse with about 10 minutes left. The room spun. No. You want him alive? Come alone. I'll text the address. You tell anyone, cops, his men, anyone, I put a bullet in his head before you arrive. Wait. The line went dead. A text appeared. An address. Southside Industrial District. Then come alone. 15 minutes. Or he dies. Nellie's mind raced. Every logical thought screamed, call Jay. Call the police. Don't go. But the voice, the certainty in it, he's bleeding out. She grabbed Minjun's car keys. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She ran. The warehouse district was a graveyard of rusted metal and broken streetlights. Nellie's headlights cut through the dark as she pulled up to the address. A structure loomed ahead. Broken windows. Graffiti-streaked walls. She killed the engine. Stepped out. The air smelled like oil and rain. Hello. Her voice cracked. A figure emerged from the shadows. A man. 40s. Scar across his cheek. Gun holstered at his side. You actually came. He sounded surprised. Pleased. Where is he? The man gestured toward the warehouse. Inside. But first phone. She hesitated. He pulled his gun. Aimed it lazily at her chest. Phone. Now. She handed it over. He crushed it under his boot. Walk. Inside, the warehouse was a cavern of darkness and decay. Emergency lights flickered. And then she saw him. Minjun. Slumped against a metal support beam. Hands zip-tied behind his back. Blood soaking through his white shirt. So much blood. Minjun. She lunged forward. The man grabbed her arm. Shoved her back. Not yet. Minjun's eyes opened. Unfocused. Then they landed on her. Horror flooded his face. No. His voice was a rasp. Nellie, run. Shut up. The man kicked him. Minjun's head snapped back. Nellie screamed. Stop. Please. The man turned to her. Smiled. You know why you're here? She couldn't breathe. Your husband took something from me. My brother. My territory. My future. He crouched in front of Minjun. So I'm gonna take something from him. He stood. Pulled out his gun. Aimed it at Nellie. Her. No. Minjun thrashed against his restraints. Don't. Take me, kill me, leave her alone. The desperation in his voice shattered something in Nellie's chest. The man cocked the gun. Any last words, Mrs. Kong? Nellie's mind went blank. Then clarity. She stepped forward. Wait. The man raised an eyebrow. You want revenge? Her voice steadied. Then you want him to suffer. Right. I'm listening. Killing me is easy. Quick. She moved closer. But letting me save him? Letting him live knowing he failed to protect me, that he's weak, that destroys him slower. The man considered. Minjun's eyes were wide. Furious. Terrified. Nellie, don't. She ignored him. Let me stop the bleeding. Let me keep him alive. And you let us go. She swallowed. That's the real revenge. He'll see my face every day and remember he couldn't save me. That I had to beg for his life. Silence. Then the man laughed. You're smarter than you look. He lowered the gun. Fine. Save him. But he grabbed her jaw. Hard. If he survives, you tell him Park sent his regards. And this debt? It's paid in his shame. He shoved her toward Minjun. You've got 5 minutes. Then we're gone. Nellie collapsed beside Minjun. Her hands found the wound. Gunshot, left side, below the ribs. Blood pulsed between her fingers. Stay with me, she whispered. You shouldn't, his breath hitched. Be here. Shut up. She tore fabric from her jacket, pressed it against the wound. He groaned. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Behind them, the men were talking, laughing. She had minutes. Maybe less. Nellie, his hand found hers. Slick with blood. If I don't, you will. Listen. No. Tears streamed down her face. You don't get to say goodbye. You don't get to leave me. Not after I. Her voice broke. His eyes locked on hers. Why did you come? She pressed harder. Felt his blood soak through. Because you're my husband. I treated you. I don't care. She was sobbing now. I don't care. Just breathe. His hand squeezed hers. Weak. Fading. Nellie, stay with me. Please. Please. A whistle. Time's up, lovebirds. Footsteps. The men were leaving. Engines roared to life outside. Then silence. Nellie fumbled for Minjun's phone in his pocket. Cracked screen. Still worked. She dialed Jay. It's Nellie, warehouse, Southside, hurry. Minunes as fluderel. No. No, stay awake. Look at me. His gaze found hers. I'm sorry, he whispered. Don't you dare. I see you. His voice was barely there. I see you. His eyes closed. Mignon. Sirens wailed in the distance. She held him, covered in his blood, and prayed to every god she didn't believe in. The hospital smelled like antiseptic in fear. Nellie sat in a plastic chair outside the operating room, still wearing Minjun's blood. It had dried into her skin. Stiff. Dark. She couldn't stop staring at her hands. Jay stood against the wall, phone pressed to his ear, coordinating security. 3 of Minjun's men guarded the hallway. A nurse had tried to get Nellie to change. She'd refused. If she washed it off, it meant admitting how close she'd come to losing him. She wasn't ready. Hours crawled by. Dawn light crept through the windows. Finally, a doctor emerged. Nellie shot to her feet. He's alive. Her knees almost buckled. The bullet missed major organs, but he lost a significant amount of blood. The next 24 hours are critical. The doctor's eyes softened. You saved his life. If you'd arrived 5 minutes later. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Can I see him? He's sedated. Won't wake for several hours. But yes. Minjun looked smaller in the hospital bed. Pale. Tubes and wires snaking from his arms. Monitors beeping steadily. Alive. Nellie pulled a chair beside him. Took his hand. It was warm. She pressed it to her forehead and finally let herself break. Sobs tore through her chest. Silent, violent. All the fear she'd swallowed. All the love she'd buried. It poured out. You don't get to die, she whispered against his skin. You hear me? You don't get to make me love you and then leave. His fingers didn't move, but his heartbeat stayed steady on the monitor. It was enough. She stayed for 3 days, sleeping in the chair, eating nothing, refusing to leave. Jay brought her clothes, food she didn't touch. You need rest, he said quietly. I've fine. Mrs. Kong. I said I'm fine. He didn't push. Minjun's men rotated shifts outside the door. Word had spread through the underworld. Someone had tried to kill Kong Minjun, and his wife had saved him. Whispers followed her in the hallways. Respect. Curiosity. Fear. She ignored it all. On the 4th day, Minjun woke. Nellie had stepped out for coffee, her first time leaving the room. When she returned, his eyes were open. She froze in the doorway. He turned his head slowly. Saw her. Something raw crossed his face. You're still here. She set the coffee down. Moved to his bedside. Where else would I be? He stared at her like he was seeing a ghost. You should have called Jay. Not come yourself. They said they'd kill you if I did. They were lying. I couldn't risk that. His jaw tightened. You could have died. So could you. I'm used to that. His voice rose, then cracked. He winced, gripping his side. You're not. You shouldn't have. You had no reason to. I'm your wife. On paper. Is that still what you believe? Her voice shook. After everything? He looked away. Silence filled the space between them. Finally she spoke. When I got that call, and they told me you were dying. Her throat closed. I didn't think about the contract. Or my brother. Or any of it. She sat on the edge of the bed. I just thought, I can't lose him. Not before he knows. Knows what? She met his eyes. That I love you. The monitors beeped. Mignon's zerte her. You don't. Ido. You can't. Ido. A tear slipped down her cheek. I've loved you for months. Even when you looked through me. Even when you made me feel invisible. Nelly, I know you don't feel the same. I know this was just business. But when I was holding you in that warehouse, and you were bleeding in my hands, her voice broke. I realized I'd rather die trying to save you than live knowing I didn't. Minjun's hand found hers. Gripped tight. You're an idiot, he whispered. She laughed through her tears. Probably. He pulled her closer. I told you love is a weapon. I know. That caring gets people killed. I know. His forehead touched hers. Then why? Because some things are worth the risk. He closed his eyes. His hand trembled in hers. I don't know how to do this, he said quietly. I don't know how to let someone in without getting them killed. Then we figure it out. Together. I'm not good at together. Neither am I. She smiled softly. But I'm willing to try. If you are. He pulled back just enough to look at her. Really look. You saved my life. You gave me a reason to. Something shifted in his expression. The walls he'd built so carefully they cracked. I'm sorry, he whispered. For all of it. For treating you like you didn't matter. Minyoon. You mattered. You matter. His voice broke. I was just too afraid to admit it. She cupped his face. Then stop being afraid. He kissed her. Soft. Desperate. Like he was trying to say everything he'd never known how to speak. When they pulled apart, his eyes were wet. I don't deserve you. Good thing I didn't ask for permission. He almost smiled. Then his expression darkened. Park will come back. He won't stop until I'm dead. Then we'll be ready. Nelly, I'm not going anywhere. She laced her fingers through his. You're stuck with me. For the first time in years, Minjun felt something he'd thought was dead. Hope. But outside the hospital, in a black car parked across the street, Park watched the window.
Watched Nellies silhouette beside Minjun's bed.
He smiled. Pulled out his phone. Dialed. She's the weakness. Use her. He hung up. Started the engine. And disappeared into Seoul's morning traffic. Minjun was released from the hospital 6 days later. Against doctor's orders. Against Jae's protests. But Minjun had received word. Park was moving. Fast. And he refused to let Nelly stay exposed. We're going to the safe house, he told her as they loaded into the armored SUV. Jae's team will handle Park. Nelly watched Seoul blur past the tinted windows. You don't trust them to finish this. It wasn't a question. Minjun's silence was answer enough. His hand rested on her knee. A new habit. Small touches. Constant reassurance. Like he was reminding himself she was real. I won't let him get near you, Minjun said quietly. She placed her hand over his. I know. The safe house was a fortress disguised as a countryside estate. High walls, armed guards, surveillance everywhere. Nelly stood in the bedroom, staring out at the mountains. It was beautiful. It felt like a cage. Minjun entered, phone in hand, exhaustion carved into his face. Jae's tracking Park's movements. We'll have him within 48 hours. And then, his expression went cold. Then I finish this. She turned to face him. You mean kill him? Yes. No hesitation. She crossed the room. Stood in front of him. Will that end it? Really? It has to. Or it just starts another cycle. She touched his face. More revenge. More blood. More nights wondering if someone's coming for us. His jaw clenched. What do you want me to do, Nelly? Let him live? After he tried to kill me? After he threatened you? I want you to be free. Her voice cracked. Not just alive. Free. I can't be free while he's breathing. She pulled him close. Then do what you have to do. But come back to me. He kissed her forehead. Always. It happened at 3 a.m. The explosion shattered the night. Nelly woke to alarm screaming, Minjun yanking her out of bed. What? They're here. His face was stone. Get to the panic room. Now. Minjun. Gunfire erupted downstairs. He shoved a gun into her hands. Panic room. Lock the door. Don't come out until Jae gives the all clear. I'm not leaving you. Nelly, he gripped her shoulders. Eyes wild. desperate. Please. I can't fight if I'm afraid for you. Please. She saw it then. The terror beneath the armor. She kissed him hard. Come back to me. I will. He pushed her toward the hidden door in the closet. She ran. The panic room was steel reinforced. Soundproof. Nellie locked herself inside, heart hammering. Monitors on the wall showed camera feeds. Men in black tactical gear storming the property. Minjun's guards fighting back. Chaos. She watched Minjun move through the hallway, gun raised, flanked by two of his men. He moved like violence personified. Precise. Lethal. Then she saw him. Park. Entering through the front gate with 4 armed men. Heading straight for the house. Her blood turned to ice. On the monitor, Minjun and Park came face to face in the main hall. Guns raised. Standoff. Nellie's hands shook. She couldn't hear them, but she could see Minjun's mouth moving. Park laughed. Gestured toward the stairs. Toward the bedroom. Minjun's face went white. Park knew where she was. Or thought he did. Minjun lunged. The screen erupted in movement. Fists, gunfire, bodies colliding. Nellie pressed her hand to the monitor. Please. Please. Then silence. The feeds flickered. Went dark. No. No. She grabbed the gun Minjun had given her. Every instinct screamed to stay hidden. But she'd already chosen. She unlocked the door. The house was a war zone. Smoke. Shattered glass. Bodies. Nellie moved through the hallways, gun raised, hands shaking. Minjun. No answer. She rounded the corner into the main hall, and froze. Minjun was on his knees, hands behind his head. Park stood behind him, gun pressed to his skull. 3 of Park's men lay dead. But Park was still standing. There she is, Park said smiling. The reason I'm here. Let him go. Nellie raised her gun. Or what? You'll shoot me. Park laughed. You even know how to use that? She cocked it. Her voice was steel. Try me. Park's smile faltered. Minjun's eyes met hers. Don't, he mouthed. She ignored him. This is between you and him, she said. Let him go. Take me instead. Nellie, no. Minjun's voice broke. Interesting proposition. Park tilted his head. But see, I don't just want him dead. I want him destroyed. And killing you in front of him? That does it. He shifted his aim toward Nellie. Minjun moved. Faster than thought. He threw himself sideways, knocked Park's arm. The gun went off. Nellie screamed. Minjun crashed into Park, and they hit the ground, grappling for the weapon. Nellie ran forward, another gunshot. Both men went still. Blood pooled on the marble floor. Minjun. He rolled off Park's body. Alive. Bleeding from his shoulder, but alive. Park lay motionless, eyes staring at nothing. Jay and his team stormed in, securing the scene. Nellie collapsed beside Minjun. You're okay. You're okay. He caught her face in his hands. Are you okay? She laughed. Sobbed. You just got shot again and you're asking if I'm okay? Always. He pulled her into his arms. Held her like she was the only thing keeping him alive. Maybe she was. An hour later, the estate was swarming with Minjun's people. Medics patched his shoulder. Clean through, no major damage. Nellie sat beside him, hand locked in his. Jay approached, expression grim. Park's entire crew is either dead or in custody. His networks collapsed. Minjun nodded. And the families? Offering terms. They don't want war. Not after this. Minjun exhaled slowly. It was over. Jay glanced at Nellie, then back to Minjun. She saved your life. Again. Minjun looked at her. I know. Jay almost smiled. You picked a hell of a woman, boss. I didn't pick her. Minjun's grip tightened on Nellie's hand. I got lucky. Later, as dawn broke over the mountains, Minjun and Nellie sat on the balcony. His arm was in a sling. Her head rested on his shoulder. I meant what I said, she whispered. About wanting you to be free. I know. He kissed her hair. I'm working on it. Yeah. He turned to face her. I'm stepping back. Letting Jay handle operations. I'm done living like every day might be my last. Her breath caught. What will you do? He smiled. Small. Real. Figure out how to be a husband. A real one. Tears filled her eyes. You already are. No. He cupped her face. But I want to be. For you. She kissed him. Soft. Sweet. Full of all the tomorrows they'd almost lost. When they pulled apart, he whispered against her lips. I love you, Nellie. The word she'd waited months to hear. I love you too. He held her as the sun rose. And for the first time in years, Minjun felt peace. 3 months later. The penthouse looked different now. Warmer. Nellie had added plants to the balcony. Photographs on the shelves. Her family, their wedding photo retaken on their terms. Candid moments stolen between heartbeats. The dining table was no longer a monument to loneliness. It was where they ate breakfast together. Where Minjun helped her practice Korean over coffee. Where they talked about everything and nothing until the sun set over Seoul. Nellie stood in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She heard the door open. You're early, she called out. Minjun appeared in the doorway, jacket slung over his shoulder, tie loosened. He looked lighter now. The shadows under his eyes had faded. The tension in his shoulders had eased. He crossed the room and wrapped his arms around her from behind. Kissed her neck. Missed you. She smiled, leaning back into him. You saw me this morning. Still missed you. She turned in his arms, holding the knife carefully to the side. How was the meeting? Boring. Legal. Exactly how I like them now. He grinned. Jay sends his regards. Says you should come by the office. Everyone wants to meet the woman who tamed the dragon. She laughed. I didn't tame you. I just loved you. His expression softened. Same thing. He kissed her forehead, then stepped back, rolling up his sleeves. What are we making? I'm helping. You don't cook. I'm learning. He picked up a knife with exaggerated confidence. How hard can it be? She bit back a smile. Okay, chop the onions. 10 minutes later, Minjun was teary-eyed and laughing. This is a war crime, he muttered, wiping his eyes. Nellie giggled, stepping in to take over. Go set the table. Gladly. They ate on the balcony as the city lights flickered to life below. Minjun reached across the table, threading his fingers through hers. I got something for you. Nellie raised an eyebrow. It's not my birthday. I know. He pulled a small box from his pocket, slid it across the table. She opened it carefully. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet, engraved with a single date. The night she saved his life. Her throat tightened. Mignon. I wanted you to have something that reminds you. His voice was quiet. Raw. That you didn't just save my life that night. You gave me a reason to live it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. He took the bracelet, fastened it around her wrist. Thank you, he whispered, for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. She cupped his face. You're worth fighting for. So are you. He kissed her slowly, deeply. The city hummed below them. But up here in this moment, they were the only two people in the world. Later that night, they lay in bed together. For the first time, Minjun didn't retreat to his office. Didn't put distance between them. He pulled Nellie close, her head resting on his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her shoulder. Do you ever regret it? He asked quietly. Signing that contract. She was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled against his skin. Every day for the first 4 months. He huffed a soft laugh. And now? She tilted her head to look at him. Now I think it was the best decision I ever made. His eyes glistened. Even after everything? Because of everything. She laced her fingers through his. We chose each other, Minjun. Not because of a contract. Not because we had to. But because we wanted to. He kissed her hand. I choose you, he whispered. Every day. For the rest of my life. And I choose you. They stayed like that, wrapped in each other, until sleep found them. Together. Finally. The camera would pull back now, if this were a film. Past the bedroom. Past the glowing city. Into the vast star-scattered sky. But this isn't a movie. This is Nellie and Minjun's story. And it's just beginning. Hello, beautiful soul. If you made it this far, If you felt every moment, every heartbreak, every hard-won piece of hope, thank you. Thank you for spending these 30 minutes with Nelly and Minjun. For believing that love can grow in the coldest places. That people can change. That sometimes the person who saves you is the one you thought didn't need saving. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever loved someone who couldn't see you? Have you ever been the one too afraid to let someone in? Have you ever fought for something everyone said was already lost? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Your stories, the real, messy, beautiful ones, matter here. And if this hit you somewhere deep, subscribe. Because we're building something here. A place where stories don't just entertain, they heal. If you love emotional, dramatic, high-stakes storytelling packed with romance, danger, and redemption, this is your new favorite home. Until the next story finds us, take care of your heart.